Hi guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to go ahead and talk about the first 3 books of the Wayward children's series by Shauna McGuire. And I wanted to go ahead and read these books because I am so behind on the series. I have heard nothing but good things about this series, and I believe that there are about 6 books in the series that are already out. And I think the 7th book is supposed to be out either late this year or early next year. So I wanted to go ahead and finally get a start on that since I'm already way behind. But like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about this series. But unfortunately, I just thought that this series so far, out of the first 3 books that I read, was just okay. I haven't been wowed just yet by the 3 books that I've read. I thought they have just been pretty much mediocre. It could just be the length of the books. If you don't know, all of the books are just novellas. They're all less than 200 pages. And so with novellas, unfortunately, there's only so much that you can do in a short amount of time. So I'm still intrigued enough to continue on with the rest of the series, and I will tell you that when we get towards the end on why I'm still intrigued after I just said that I think the series so far is mediocre. But I have a reason for that. But I'll go ahead and jump into the review of the 3 books. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first book is Every Heart a Doorway. And we're primarily following our main character, Nancy, who is around 17 years old. And she had just come from her world, which I believe is called the Hall of the Dead. And she shows up at Miss Eleanor's school for wayward children. And this school is supposed to be for children who comes from these portal worlds or different worlds. And basically children around the world, I believe they're from around the world, have been randomly finding these doorways that lead them to these different worlds that are made specifically for them. And when they go through these worlds, the parents don't know where the children have gone missing to, and it seems to them that the children have only been gone for either a few days or maybe a week. But to the children, it seems that they have been gone for like years. And so when they come back through their doorways into the real world, the parents end up sending them to this home so that they can get accustomed to the real world again. And so Nancy shows up at this home. Her parents have sent her here in the hopes that she will get acclimated to the real world again and eventually be sent back home. So she shows up at the school. She is introduced to all of the students. She gets sent to her room, and she is roommates with another schoolmate by the name of Sumi. And through this, we are following her through the everydays of the students, where they have normal classes, they have therapy sessions, and we are introduced to a few other characters. We have some twins by the name of Jack and Jill. We have another student by the name of Katie. We have Christopher, just some other students. And there is a mystery that kind of takes place at the school that we are following. And I don't want to say too much from there because I don't want to spoil anything. And it kind of leads into another one of the books later, so I'll leave it there. But that is primarily what this story is about. And in this story, like I said, we're primarily following Nancy, but even though we are primarily following Nancy, but we are also getting told the story from the other side characters as well. And we are also learning about their background, and we are also learning about the different worlds that they travel to as well. And overall, I really enjoyed the concept of this story. I enjoyed hearing about those characters' background, and I enjoyed hearing about the different worlds that they went to. And that is what I wish we could have gotten more from this story. I wish we could have seen the characters more in the worlds that they came from. With that being said, I wish that these were full-length novels instead of novellas. I feel like we could have benefited more from spending more time with the characters. I just feel like a lot of my problems with the 3 books that I have read so far is that these books have just left me wanting more. And one of my other issues with this one in particular, because I ended up rating this one a 3 stars, is that, like I said, we ended up primarily following Nancy, and I didn't necessarily have a problem with Nancy as a character, but I felt like the other side characters were more interesting than Nancy, and I would have just rather had more time with those characters instead of her. But overall, I thought this was fine, and I liked it well enough to continue on to the next story. The next story we have is Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is obviously number 2 in the Wayward Children series. And this one is focused solely on the twins, Jack and Jill, from Every Heart a Doorway. And this one actually starts off from the time that they were born all the way into the time that they are in the world that they travel to. So we get their complete backstory, and I absolutely love that. I love just focusing on one set of characters. And so we learn about how they grew up. We learn about why the parents chose to have children in the first place. And let me just say, their parents are terrible people. We learned how they were raised. We learned why they were raised the way that, oh my, it's a it's a fly or something. We learn why they were raised the way that they were raised. We learn, we just basically get, the backstory of how they grew up. And then we get to see them as they travel into their doorway. And the doorway that they go to is a place called the Moors. And it is this dark, atmospheric place, if you couldn't tell by the cover. And in this world, we are told that there are vampires and werewolves and gargoyles and other dark creatures. And because they are twins, they are obviously raised together. But once they are in this world, we see that they are basically coming into their own, and they are separated from each other. And so we have one twin, Jack, who goes off with this doctor, and then we have the other twin, Jill, who goes off with someone that's called the Master. And so we see them as they are living 2 totally different lives, because like I said with the other book, when they are in their different world, they are there for years. Even though to their parents it only seems like days or weeks, they're actually there for years. And so we are spending time with them, and we are seeing how they're living, and we are seeing how they are, with the twins in particular, Jack and Jill, we are seeing how different these twins actually are, and how before they went to their world, their parents actually wanted a boy and a girl, but they ended up with 2 girls. So they tried to make one twin seem more tomboyish and one twin obviously more girly. But then when they got into their world, their personalities actually switched to how their parents wanted them to be. So we actually got to see the twins really come into how they were meant to be. So that was actually something that surprised me, and I like to see. Now, again, with this one, these are all under 200 pages. So you aren't really getting a lot from these stories. So again, I only rated this one 3 stars, because my problem with this one is, like I said, we know that in this world, it's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be you know, very atmospheric. We know, like I said, that they're supposed to be like vampires and werewolves and these dark creatures, but we don't see any of that. We know that the people that live here are like scared of something, but we don't see any of that. Why? Because we don't spend a lot of time in this world because the book is so short. And this one out of the three was my favorite because we got to spend so much time with just these characters. And this is the one that for sure I wish was like a full-length novel. And I feel like the action kind of picked up toward the end and then it was over. And it just, I just feel like it just left me again just wanting so much more. And this one, it definitely touched on one of the twins had a queer relationship. So it touched on that. And then it definitely talked a lot about their relationship and how they depended on each other a lot more than they did when they obviously were living back at home. So it definitely touched on a lot about their relationship, which I appreciated. And again, I wish I would have seen a lot more. So yeah. So I wish we could have got a lot more out of this one because I really did enjoy this one. And I just like the dark atmosphere out of this one. And the one so Jill was the sister that stayed with the master. And that was what I really wanted to see. I wanted to see the master. And I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but I wanted to see the master at work. I feel like we were told all the things that the master did, but we never got to see any of it. And I just wanted to see it. And I wish we could have saw it. And the third one is Beneath the Sugar Sky. And this one, it follows the events after the second one. And in case I didn't say it, but Down Among the Sticks and Bones was actually the prequel to Every Heart a Doorway. And this one takes place right after the events of Every Heart a Doorway. So in Every Heart a Doorway, I said that there was a mystery that was going on that took place in that one. And this one is following the events after Every Heart a Doorway. So we are just continuing right after that. So in this one, we are following a new student that has arrived by the name of Cora, and she, I believe, came from like a water world where she was a mermaid, and she is a plus size character. So she's, like I said, a new student at the home. And one day her and another student by the name of Nadia are outside by a turtle pond, and another teenager happens to fall into the pond and says that she is looking for her mother, who is no longer with them due to the events that took place in the first book, and the story takes off from there. And so we are whisked away to another world called Confection, and we are now following Cora, Nadia, this new character, and some other characters from Every Heart a Doorway, and the story pretty much takes off from there. And this one, I actually rated a 2 stars. I did not like this one, obviously. This was my least favorite out of the 3. And I think my problem with this one was there was too many point of views to keep up with in this one, and I just didn't care about any of the characters. Cora, who I said was one of the new characters in this one, and she was a plus size character in this one, I thought her character was very annoying because her character obviously was plus size, and we were supposed to be able to understand that she was very insecure about her weight. But I feel like her insecurity was kind of an overkill in the story, because every time we got her point of view, all she wanted to do was talk about her weight and she kept reminding us with how many times people reminded her of how fat she was. I can't even tell you how many times they threw the word fat in here, and it was annoying. And it was like, okay, girl, we know that you're overweight. We get that you're insecure about you being overweight. I don't need you to keep telling me that you're overweight. We get it. Okay, we got it. So that was really annoying. And then we see Nancy was brought back into the story. And I already said I didn't really care for Nancy in the first one, so I didn't care for her in this one. And yeah, I didn't really care about anything that was happening in this one. I literally just wanted to read this one to move on. To help move on. And I know I said in the beginning that I was intrigued enough with the series to continue. Now in this one, the world that we went to was called Confection, and it was, I mean, if you can't tell by the word confection and beneath the sugar sky as a title, it was a world made out of sugar and sweets and baking goods, and it just sounded like a world that was right up my alley. Like, it was like a candy land, basically. So that sounded like fun, and I liked to read about that, and I liked being in that world. But out of the 3 stories, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, like I said before, was the one that I liked the best. And I believe I liked that one the best because we focused on one set of characters. And when I was looking up the other 3 books in the series, it seemed as though those other 3 books were focused on one set of characters. So I think I will enjoy those other books because they are focused on other characters. The ones where we have the multiple point of views and we have to sit through other people that I don't really care about, I don't like it. But this one, like, even though Cora, the plus size girl, I didn't really care for her at all either, I did want to know more about her world. But because we had, and she was the mermaid, but because we had other point of views, we only got snippets because we had to focus on a whole bunch of other people. So if it was just about her, I think I would have been able to get over her insecurities of being plus size and focus on her world if we didn't have to worry about everybody else. So I'm looking forward to hopefully liking the other books in this series because we can focus on just one set of characters. So, I mean, overall, I would still recommend this series if you haven't read them. I would still recommend them to people because the overall concept is really cool. These children are able to travel to different portal worlds. I think that's a great concept. And I also heard that this series is being picked up to be made, I think, into a TV series, maybe. And that sounds amazing because I feel like in a TV series, it will be able to give us the more that I'm looking for. You know, it could give me everything that I'm looking for that I can't put in a book. So I think that would be amazing. And I think that's another reason why I'm trying to push through, because if this is getting picked up, then I want to make sure that I'm caught up. So I would definitely still recommend it. I'm trying to push through on this one because I don't hate them enough to not to give up. But man, I'm not seeing what everybody else is just loving about them. So hopefully these next 3 I can jump on the bandwagon with the hype train, but they're okay, but they're not great. Well, that is actually all that I have for you guys today. So I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.